business that I want to start off with. And don't let this be you. And by the way, I've been there, done that in that position. We've got a major business disruption can't be avoided. In every major disruption, some businesses succeed and some fail. And Bill mentioned it before, optimized businesses have the best chance to prosper. Now, this is also an opportunity because most of us started our businesses or even our careers and work on what I call the process of entropy. And that's like that junk closet or the junk drawer you have at home. You straighten it out, and 3 or 6 months later, it looks just the way it used to look. That's the process of entropy, going from order to chaos. And we start out in order. And if you're any of you, I hopefully have read the E-Myth Revisited, you'll see the same thing happening there. You start out with making pies. She started out making pies, and then the business got too big for her to handle. So optimized businesses is something that we've been involved in. That's what we do for our clients, is business optimization. We're going to touch on that, and this is an ideal time for everybody to optimize their business before things start back up again. So let's move on. There are 4 business components, and this is real simple. If you just focus on these 4 components, it makes it simple. Number 1 is, and I'm being very specific with my language. Bill and I call this precision of language. Words have meaning. My daughters hate me. They roll their eyes when I say it, but so be it. Efficiently creating the proper opportunities in the marketplace. Some people call it marketing. I hesitate to use the term marketing because it's a misnomer in so many areas, and it's misunderstood and understood by different people in different ways. So it's called efficiently creating the proper opportunities in the marketing. Now, to do that, you have to track your marketing activities. And if you're not tracking your marketing activities, you're shooting yourself in the foot. And the reason for tracking I need to know the number of leads I get. I need to know where they're coming from. And when I look at my total investment in marketing, I want to calculate my lead cost. What does every single lead cost me? And I think a lot of you'd be amazed. So number 1, efficiently creating the proper opportunities. And we'll talk about what the proper opportunity is a little later on. The next step is efficiently converting the maximum number of those opportunities into long-term, high-profit relationships. And it's got to be process-driven, folks. The reason McDonald's is so successful is everything is done by process, including wiping the glass doors and cleaning the bathrooms. Everything is process-driven. Converting, I call the suspects into prospects, and prospects into relationships is what we do. And we want to do that efficiently. We want to efficiently convert the maximum number, and we want to make sure that they're the right clients for us. Delivering on your value promise is the 3rd component. When you start market penetration, you start with a concept, which we're going to talk about next, which Bill has touched on. And you use that concept with a thread of continuity in optimizing all 4 components of your business. So the philosophy and word tracks that you use to do your, and I'm going to use finger quotes, marketing or create opportunities, have to have a thread of continuity into the language and the process that you use to convert them. And if you convert them, you need to deliver on your value promise. And the same language and the same thread of continuity has to continue through that part. I call it super client service. It's the easiest way to explain it. The next one is running your factory at optimum efficiency. And folks, you all have a factory. I've had CPAs and attorneys say to me, we don't have factory. We don't have a factory. We're a professional firm. Okay, well, I kind of play Columbo then, country dumb. So let me understand now, we take raw materials into one end of our factory and we pass it through a bunch of processes, and it comes out as a nice shiny little widget, which we sell for a profit. That's what a factory is, right? Yeah. Okay, so that's different from your accounting firm or law firm, how? It's not. You're taking in intellectual capital on one end, you're passing it through, and you're delivering either legal work, or you're delivering tax returns, you're delivering financial statements. Everybody delivers a product, and everybody has to build that product through the throughput process of their business. So running your factory at optimum efficiency means managing the throughput process of your business. And there's a lot of stuff written on it. It's something Bill and I are very much involved in. If you have any questions on throughput process, ask us afterwards or connect with us on email, whatever. So let's take a look now from the 4 components. These are the only 4 things you have to master to really prosper, and they need to be mastered properly. This picture I took out in Oregon, and we're in for a rough trip in uncharted waters right now. I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen, when it's going to happen, how it's going to happen. The bottom line is, that's a horrendous inlet. It's got rocks on both sides of it. There are rocks outside of it, and there are huge waves coming in at you. But if you notice, the boat's still going. And I can tell you many times in my boat, I went. It is what it is. Let's go. It's time to leave. You know, we're going to Block Island. I don't care how rough it is. Let's go and get it done. So we're in for that, a rough trip in uncharted waters. We need to make sure, number one, that we keep the ship stable and we don't hit the rocks or a reef. The world is upside down, actually. Now what? Okay, what do you do now? There are 2 options, and this is the fellow sitting on the steps. You can either curl up in a fetal position whining about what's going on, or you can put on your big boy or big girl pants and go out and get more than your fair share. Now, this is simple stuff, but it's not simple when you're in the middle of it sometimes, because it's, oh, woe is me, what do I do next? We'll get there. This is an interesting statement, and there's a reason for it. There are 3 frogs on a lily pad. One decides to jump. How many frogs are left? A lot of people say 2. They're wrong. It's actually 3. Because deciding to jump is very different than jumping. And that you need to think about in what you're going to do when this debacle is over. Deciding to jump is different than jumping. Procrastination kills most people and most businesses. You need to go out and pull the trigger, because waiting to be perfect at it will kill you. Let's share the number 1 secret to success. And this is called the success triangle. And if you notice, it's an equilateral triangle. All the sides are the same. The angles are all the same. And there's a triangle because there are 3 key components of that success triangle. And I can't tell you how important it is. Attitude is everything. I mean, that's one of the most important things. If you learn anything here, attitude is everything. And who's in charge of your attitude? Me, right? When are you not in charge of your attitude? When you give it away to somebody else. I had a client that I fired that if somebody cut her off on Southern State Parkway on her way into the office, she was a snotty, nasty person all day. She'd curse out her staff. She'd fight with her father because somebody cut her off. How dare they? It totally destroyed her attitude. It also destroyed the morale of the company and cost them a ton of money in business. So attitudes in everything. You're in charge of it. We're going to talk about what attitude you need to grab to succeed. But attitude is where it starts. The other 2 corners of this triangle are behavior, and your attitude either positively affects your behavior or negatively affects your behavior. So attitude is number 1. The attitude leads to behavior, and the behavior is what you're doing to build your business, how you're going about building your business. There's behavioral patterns. You need to have the most efficient behavior patterns with the right attitude. And if you have those, you still won't succeed unless you have technique. So attitude, behavior, and technique are inexorably tied together in that success triangle, because one depends on the other, and it's a complete circle. So attitude, behavior, and technique are the biggest secret I've ever seen to being successful in anything. Attitude is everything. What attitude do you have to have? Confidence. Now, confidence sells. When you're confident, it comes out of you. It connects with people. And there's a difference. Well, we're going to go into what kind of confidence, but assertive self-confidence in the value, and I'm using value frequently, the value you can deliver to prospects who qualify. Again, precision of language. You need to believe in you. You need to believe in the value you can deliver to the right people, but they have to qualify. They really do have to qualify. So once you have your confidence, and that comes from inside you, and that starts with attitude, and it starts with a lot of examination, which we'll get into, the next thing you need to do is have competence. You have to deliver on your value promise. You must deliver on, and you must be competent to do that, and become more competent every day, gain confidence every day, and you'll do a lot better as you go along. And competence is your ability to communicate and deliver on your value promises. And communication is absolutely mandatory. Precision of language is something you all need to look at because, again, words have meaning. Secret number 2, How to Do It by Napoleon Hill. Just raise your hand if you've read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Raise your hand. Anybody? Good, Adam. Great. Great. If you haven't read Think and Grow Rich, you really need to. It's not a big read. I get the Cliff Note version because time is important. But I try to read about 4 or 5 books a week, and business books a week, because I learn from every one. It's kind of like absorbing the knowledge that other people have worked their tails off to get. And some of it's great and some of it's not. This is a winner by Napoleon Hill. One of the things Napoleon says, fix in your mind the exact result that you desire, be specific. In other words, I want to make more money is very different than to live the way I want to live. I need to take home $500,000 a year. A lot of money is different than 500,000. It's the 500 is a quantifiable amount. And again, without a specific destination, any road will take you there. And that's not me, that's Henry Ford. So a specific destination, it should be very clearly defined as the result you want to create. Define exactly what you are willing to invest in return for the result you desire in writing. And if it ain't in writing, it doesn't count. What do I mean by what are you willing to invest? We can invest time. We can invest money. We can invest energy. There are a lot of things we can do. You need to put down what you're willing to invest. I'm not willing to work more than 4 10-hour days a week anymore. That's enough, 4 10-hour days a week. I won't work 7 days anymore. I won't work 5 days, 6 days. I work 4 10-hour days a week. And if I can't fit it into those 10 days, 4 hours, next. Life is better that way, when you make it work for you rather than you working for it. Establish a definite date you intend to possess the result. Right now, Napoleon Hill talks in terms of money. The result is not always monetarily based. The result that you want is usually going to be something to do with your quality of life. I want to own a home by a certain date. I want to build a building by a certain date. My close friend's son just finished, he's a chiropractor down in Kent Island, Maryland. He wanted to build his own building from the time he moved down there. Well, he just finished his building. His offices are on the lower floor. He rents the other half out, and there are apartments above it. It's worth a fortune. He's now building a second one because he's got investors that want him to build it. So he established a definite date that he intended to have that building done. He was going to do it within 4 years of moving down there. He did it in 3.5. He opened up his practice, built the practice, and built the building. Establish a definite date. If you notice, Napoleon's issues are all exact and definite. Create a definite plan for carrying out your desires and begin now. Whether you're ready or not to put the plan into action, you need to start now. Remember those 3 frogs on the lily pad? Deciding to jump is vastly different than jumping. So jump in with both feet, jump in the deep end with both feet. If you don't drown, you're going to learn how to swim. And by the way, in my own life, I've done that many times. It's called the Earn While You Learn program. You make mistakes. You know, I went into business valuations back in 1983 or 84. The first valuation took me 120 hours for $4,500. I lost money on that one, but I learned how to do business valuations, so it paid, because the next one was $7,500, and the next one was $10,500, and the next one $15,000 and $17,000, etc. Earn while you learn. And without a plan, it's not going to work as well. Write a clear, concise statement of the goal or goals you intend to achieve. Name the time limit for acquisition. State what you intend to invest in return for the results. Describe clearly your plan to succeed in writing. Read that statement twice a day. As you read it, see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the results you seek. All you do when you get up in the morning is read that statement. Before you go to bed at night, read the statement. It fixes it into your brain, and it actually gets your subconscious working overnight to help you get where you want to go. It's an amazing thing. If you feed the subconscious properly, it will give you answers in the morning that you won't believe. Been there, done that, and have a whole drawer full of those t-shirts. We talk about value so far quite a bit. And many of you know that I work pretty heavily with the accounting profession. And accountants talk about delivering value. And I ask them to define it. You get a deer in the headlights stare. Well, you know, we do accurate, timely service. Value, like beauty, is in the eye of the beholder, and it has nothing to do with your technical capabilities. Value has to do, its quality has to do with the presence of value in the relationship as defined by the client, not by you. The presence of value in the relationship as defined by the client. That's what quality workmanship is all about. The reason you work, we all work, is the quality of life you aspire to, and secondarily, the income to support it. Remember, it's not about making money. It's about creating a business or a career that allows you to live the life you want to live. And once you've defined that in writing, now you have to make the income to achieve it. And I've worked with several people where we did this. I know this whole process works because I've been doing it with myself and my clients for years. Why do you think your clients work? The quality of life they aspire to and the income to support it. So keep in mind, folks, that value is about quality of life and the income to support it, not just for you or for me, it's for everybody. Now, people don't consciously think this way. People always think about making money, but the quality of life is what they don't experience. So why not plan to create a quality of life and then plan to create the income to support that quality of life, which means you actually have to calculate it. To live the way I want to live, I need to take home $500,000 a year or $200,000 or whatever it is. But you need to keep focused on, if you were making that kind of money, what would the life look like that you lived? That's more important, to put quality of life ahead of income. Secret number 3, differentiation by value delivered. I'm going to speed this up because we're short on time. But this is too important to miss. The biggest key to success in business is differentiation. You must be perceived as different from your competition. If you're not perceived as different, you're automatically perceived as the same. When you're perceived as the same, you just became a commodity. And my first question is, how much is it? So stop selling services and start selling results. That's value delivered. But you need to sell results that fit into the wheelhouse of the client. And since everybody's different, not everybody wants the same results. And most of your clients have never really thought about it from this perspective or looked at it through this window. So be smart enough to look at it. Differentiate yourself by value delivered. And what is the value in the eyes of the client or prospect? Are you conversant? I'm very careful here. Are you conversant in how or what you sell is relevant to your client or prospect's quality of life and income? And relevant is a big word. If you are not conversant in the relevance of who you are and what you do, don't expect me to figure it out, because I have no idea how to go about that. I'm just going through life dealing with the things that are coming at me. So you need to be conversant, articulate, and conversant in how what you do or sell is relevant to your clients and prospects' quality of life and income. I can't repeat this enough, so you get that. Hopefully it goes into everybody. By the way, we call that, and Bill may have spoken to you, it's a unique value proposition. Now, it's not an elevator speech. God forbid, if you have an elevator speech, tear it up, throw it in the garbage, erase it from your mind, because an elevator speech is one of the most obnoxious things you have. Why? Because it's about you. And when you're working with prospects or clients, it's not about you, it's about them. So your elevator speech and your positioning statement and all of those things are only going to make the distance between where you are and where you want to be bigger, because it's about you. You need to become client-centric in all of your thinking and actions. How did that happen? I turned this thing off. Are you perceived as relevant? Is your unique value proposition relevant to the value your prospects are anxious to acquire? The value your prospects are anxious to acquire. Are they relevant to your prospects' wants, needs, and will invest? Now, we all can want something. I can feel that I need something, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm willing to invest in it. So you need to understand wants, needs, and will invest if you intend to go anyplace with this. How do you know that? Simple. You ask them. We call the discovery process our secret sauce. Use Socratic methodology. Ask the questions. When you're out meeting with prospects and clients, ask, 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 ask. Telling is selling, and it's offensive. This is important, folks. Listen to understand, not to respond. Most people sit with a prospect or a client and they listen to respond. Even with their friends and their coworkers, they listen to respond. Listen to understand. Keep your mouth shut. Keep an empty cup. Listen to understand. Empathize, called empathetic listening. Look it up if you need to, but listen to understand and empathize. Because here's a fact. People will hire you because they feel on an emotional level that you understand them. They don't have to understand you. You need to understand them, and they need to feel that you understand them. How do people come into a feeling that you understand them? By you listening to them, not talking at them. Secret number 5. Identify your ideal client and why they're your ideal client. Now, a great way to do that is look back on, if you can, take your 10 best clients that you've worked with and make a list of them and sit down in a quiet place where you can think and grow rich, like Napoleon Hill said. Sit down and think, what are the characteristics of these 10 best clients? You want to look at 2 things. You want to look at their economic characteristics. Bill and I prefer to work with businesses that are a minimum of $2 million a year in revenue and at least 5 years old. There's an economic characteristic. And we want them to be at least close to being solvent. They don't have to be because we do turnarounds. But the bottom line is, look at the economic characteristics that define your ideal client and write it down. And I'll tell you why in a moment. Psychographic characteristics. You need to write down the psychographic characteristics of your ideal client. I want people who are optimists. I want people who are upbeat. I want people who are strivers. These are some of the psychographic characteristics. Why? Because those are the kind of people that it's fun to work with, and those are the kind of people you create the best results with. The other side of that coin, identify your worst clients in writing and why. Do the exercise. Make a list of the worst clients you've ever worked with and look at the economic characteristics and psychographic characteristics and write it down. Why do I keep saying write it down? Because if it isn't in writing, number one, it doesn't exist. And number two, by going through the exercise, you bring tremendous clarity to your business and your career. And number three, I can go out and have my little checklist in my hand of my ideal client. When I sit down with a prospect, I'm going through that checklist and I'm measuring them up against my ideal client. And if they start missing the boat, well, Mr. Jones, it's been very nice meeting with you, but basically, based upon our conversation so far, quite frankly, I don't think you're the right client for us, and I do appreciate your time. And if I can recommend somebody to help you, I will. Have a nice day. I'm out of there. Stop wasting your time on people you wouldn't want as clients if you got them. And that's two things. I hate doing businesses with companies that are hanging on by their fingernails and refuse to change. And those are some of the things that we don't want to deal with. You're not right for everyone. Get that through your head. We're not right for everyone, but you need to define who you're right for, what kind of people they are, and what their characteristics are so you can find them. And by the way, if you don't do all of this in writing, how do you create an effective marketing plan to bring them to the surface? You can't. You're throwing crap against the wall and hoping something sticks. Secret number 6. Mine the gold in your client base. I can't overemphasize that, especially in this time where everybody's shut in and away from the world. Your client base is a gold mine. Reach out to your clients. Ask them how you're doing. How's it going? What kind of problems are you having? No solutions. Reach out to prospects. Reach out to past clients. Reach out to people who you had a conversation or a meeting with and didn't get as clients but would really like to have. Give them a call. Check in with them. Take their temperature. Ask them questions. No advice and no solutions. Just listen, 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 and take notes. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, you want to stand out in the crowd. Number two, you always want to be at the top of someone's mind for referrals. And they will think very fondly of you if you take the time to just check in with them, take their temperature, and ask a few questions about what specifically are you planning to do when we're allowed to get back into action again and we're allowed to go back out into the world again. What are you going to do to turn your business around? You may not have the answers for them, but you know people who do in every walk of life. All right, we have cybersecurity, we have healthcare, we have everything that you can think of people that you know. Adam, you know 1 million people. You want to find the ones that are really good at what they do and use them to refer out to other people, because that's the way to do it. You don't want to have bad referrals, but there are people that you know, there are solutions that you can help provide to people. But you can't do it unless you understand from them what solutions they need. And it's the solutions they need may not be what they think they need, which means asking better questions. Tony Robbins said it. You want better answers, learn to ask better questions. You need to understand people what they're saying and what they're not saying. And that means empathetic listening and Socratic questioning. By the way, there's a great book out there to read if you haven't read it already. It's called Socratic Selling by Kevin Daly, D-A-L-E-Y. Well worth reading. It's not a big read, but it's got tremendous value. Call them and ask them how they're doing. They're going to appreciate the fact that you care, and you can open up conversations that may generate business even now or soon after. Ask them what they plan to do when this is over. How do you plan to jumpstart your business? Tell me about what specifically you're going to do to get started again. Even if you just get them thinking about it and talk to them like I'm talking to you and say, look, why don't you think about what you're going to do to get jump started again? Why don't you put it down in writing? Why don't you think on it, talk about it? And, you know, if you want to bounce it off me, feel free. But put it down in writing and what you plan to do when it's over, so you're not sitting there with your thumb in your mouth. I was being polite. With your thumb in your mouth when this is over, wondering, okay, now what am I going to do? Have it all planned beforehand. Be prepared to hit that ground running. And a lot of what you'll learn from talking to your customers and clients, a lot of what you learn is going to add to your knowledge of what to do. You're going to be able to help them an awful lot because you're gathering knowledge with every client you speak to. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Listen to understand them, no solutions. This is no time to provide solutions. This is no time to sell services. This is no time to sell anything. Listen to understand them, no solutions. It's very difficult to do because we all tend to want to give solutions out to problems. It's the worst thing you can possibly do. Ask how you could help them through this disruption and listen. How could I help you through the disruption? How can I help you get out of it? Let me know what I can do. Tell me what I could do to help you. Again, no solutions. Folks, this is the beginning, not the end. Today is the first day of the rest of your career. What are you going to do about it? Thank you for joining us. I appreciate it. Appreciate your time and interest. If you have any questions, stay on, put them in the chat room. We'll do our best to answer them. Thank you again for your time.